Your mind is a magnet. What you expect, you attract. There's a quiet law working beneath the surface of every life. You don't always see it. You don't always understand it, but you feel it. It's the law that says your life tends to move in the direction of your dominant expectations. That's not philosophy. That's not hype. That's how the human mind is wired. You see, your thoughts don't just sit quietly in your head. They broadcast. They communicate. They influence how you walk, how you talk, how you show up. And even more important, they filter how you interpret the world around you. That's why two people can face the same situation and one feels empowered while the other feels defeated. It's not the situation, it's the expectation. When you wake up expecting disappointment, your mind gets to work looking for it. When you expect delays, frustration, rejection, you start noticing it more, attracting it more, and preparing for it more. You become a magnet for what you fear, because fear is a form of focus. It's the danger of default thinking. Most people walk through life like weather vanes, reacting to every shift in the wind. If the job is stable, they smile. If someone compliments them, they feel valuable. If the car breaks down or someone critiques them, suddenly their entire sense of self-worth collapses. That's no way to live. That's survival, not strategy. But something powerful happens when you make a decision, a real decision, to live as if things are always working out for you. Not because you're in denial, but because you're building a different relationship with reality. This is what it means to act as if. It's not pretending everything is perfect. It's choosing to believe that even when it's not perfect, it's purposeful. Think of the mind like a GPS. It doesn't take you anywhere unless you give it a destination. And guess what? That destination is created by what you expect. The person who expects growth finds lessons in failure. The one who expects rejection sees every pause as a threat. The one who expects progress learns how to extract gold from setbacks. His expectation changes perception, and perception drives behavior. When you expect things to work for you, you start showing up differently. You don't flinch as much. You don't hesitate as long. You stop talking yourself out of great ideas. You start investing in yourself, even before the results show up. Why? Because you believe you're building something worthwhile. You believe that the dots are connecting, even when they don't make sense yet. In that belief, it creates a powerful ripple. People feel it. They see it in your eyes, in your posture, in your tone. You're not begging life anymore. You're not trying to convince anyone to give you a chance. You've already given yourself permission to rise. And that energy is magnetic. People are drawn to certainty, not desperation. So ask yourself, what are you expecting right now? Are you expecting delays? Are you preparing for the worst just in case? Are you letting fear rent space in your head, telling you why it won't work, why it's too late, why you're not ready? Because every time you do that, you're handing your power away. But the moment you start expecting favor, even if it hasn't shown up yet, you begin to align yourself with better decisions, higher energy, and new opportunity. And suddenly, life doesn't feel like it's against you anymore. It starts to feel like it's responding to you. Because it is. Confidence isn't a result, it's a strategy. Most people have it backwards. They think confidence is something you earn, something you get after the achievement, after the applause, after the results finally show up. But let me tell you, confidence isn't a reward. It's not the trophy you hold after the race. It's the decision you make before you even start running. Confidence isn't the result of success. Confidence is the strategy that helps you create it. Let that sink in. You don't walk into the interview because you're confident. You become confident because you chose to walk in like you belong. You don't speak up in the meeting because you have all the answers. You speak because you trust that your voice has value, even if you're still figuring it out. The world wants you to think you need credentials before you walk tall, that you need proof before you believe in yourself. But if you wait for proof, you'll be waiting forever. Because proof comes after movement, not before. So you have to reverse it. Start behaving like someone who believes it's already working. Like someone who believes that what they've planted will grow, that their effort is not in vain, that they don't need a cheering crowd to validate their steps. That's not arrogance, that's ownership. Ownership builds presence. You know it when you see it. That quiet confidence. The person who walks into the room like they've already made peace with themselves. They're not loud, they're not aggressive, but they don't shrink either. They don't walk in looking for acceptance, they walk in carrying it. That's the strategy. You develop presence when you decide you're already enough, even while you're still becoming. You don't wait for the world to agree. You train your nervous system to feel safe while being seen. You train your body to move forward without perfect conditions. Because perfect conditions never come, and if you wait to feel ready, you'll watch your life pass by in hesitation. Confidence doesn't come from knowing how everything will turn out. It comes from believing you'll figure it out, no matter what. It's power. That's what separates people who create momentum from those who stay stuck in what if. You see, when you act like things are working out, when you carry yourself like the outcome is already unfolding in your favor, you tap into something deeper than optimism. You access certainty. Not certainty in the external world, because that will always be unpredictable, but certainty in your internal world, in your mindset, in your ability to adapt, learn, and grow. That's real confidence. And here's the beauty of it, confidence is contagious. When you walk in with belief, people respond differently, they listen more closely, they respect your words, they trust your energy. Why? Because they can feel that you trust yourself. And that trust doesn't have to be loud, it doesn't need to prove anything, it just needs to be consistent. Confidence is a decision, a posture, a tone. You choose it before the world chooses you. And when you do that long enough, the results begin to follow, not the other way around. So don't ask for signs, don't wait for applause, don't look for validation. Instead, build a foundation. One thought, one breath, one decision at a time. Act like it's already working, and soon your life will start catching up to your belief. There is a silent force shaping the direction of your life. It isn't your education, it's not your resume, it's not your talent, it's your assumption. The beliefs you carry without even questioning them. The inner narrative that runs like background music in your mind, influencing every decision, every reaction, every opportunity you either lean into or talk yourself out of. Winners don't just think differently, they assume differently. They move through life not hoping for victory, but assuming it's inevitable. They wake up and expect progress. They expect growth. They expect things to work out, not because they're delusional, but because they've trained themselves to focus on alignment rather than anxiety. The assumption is not wishful thinking, it's not fantasy, it's a creative force. It's the mental framework that determines how you interpret life and how you respond to it. And here's the key. How you interpret life influences how life shows up for you. When you assume things will go wrong, your body tenses. Your voice hesitates, you shrink, play small, and hold back your best. And when you hold back, the world gives less, not because it's cruel, but because it responds to your signal. But when you assume that things are unfolding for your good even before you see the results, something shifts. You stop waiting, you stop apologizing, you start creating. You begin to move from conviction, not confusion. This is what separates those who rise from those who repeat. Most people are conditioned to expect struggle. They expect loss. They expect to be overlooked, underpaid, unappreciated. And so, even when a great opportunity knocks on the door, they hesitate. They assume they're not ready. They assume they'll fail. And that assumption becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because life mirrors belief, not reality. On the other hand, when you operate with the assumption that you are favored, guided, and equipped for the journey, your posture changes. Your choices change. You don't chase people, you don't beg for validation, you don't hustle for worthiness, you walk in as if the door is already yours. That assumption doesn't make you arrogant, it makes you effective. Assumption is the mental rehearsal for how you want life to respond. When you start imagining the best instead of fearing the worst, your subconscious gets to work organizing your attention, your energy, your time around that belief. That's not fantasy, that's neuroscience. Your brain is wired to notice what you believe matters. Change the belief and you change what you notice. Change what you notice and you change what you act on. Change what you act on and you change your future. It all starts with assumption. Winners assume access. They assume they belong in the room. They assume the obstacles are temporary and the outcomes are worth the effort. This doesn't mean they never doubt. It means they don't live in doubt. They don't marry their fear. They visit it, learn from it, but then return to the assumption that their life has meaning and momentum. Because they understand something most people miss. Assumption drives emotion, and emotion drives motion. If your assumption is rooted in fear, your body will hesitate, your voice will shrink. But if your assumption is rooted in faith, in possibility, in a deep inner belief that life is happening for you, not to you, then your energy becomes unstoppable. You must choose your assumptions like you choose your friends, carefully, because they're always influencing you, whether you realize it or not. The good news is, assumption is not fixed. You can rewrite it. You can practice a new mindset. You can assume alignment. You can assume favor. You can assume growth even when you feel resistance. And when you do that long enough, the world doesn't just notice. The world doesn't respond to your words nearly as much as it responds to your energy. You can say all the right things. You can rehearse the perfect pitch, dress in the perfect suit, craft the ideal resume. But if your energy is out of alignment, if you're moving through life with desperation, insecurity, or resentment, people can feel it. They don't always know how to explain it, but they pick up on it because energy is the most honest thing about you. And it teaches people, consciously or unconsciously, exactly how to engage with you. Think about it. When you walk into a room with quiet confidence, with calm certainty, you don't need to dominate the space. You don't need to raise your voice. You don't need to beg for attention. That energy speaks before you do. It tells people you know who you are. It tells them how to treat you, where your boundaries are, what your standards are, and what you will and will not tolerate. But when you walk in unsure of yourself, when you shrink to fit the room, when you second guess your value or wait for someone else to give you permission to be who you already are, the world picks up on that too. And that's when you start getting treated like an option instead of a priority. That's when people overlook your voice, undervalue your time, or violate your peace. Not necessarily because they're unkind, but because your energy gave them permission to. Your energy is your broadcast. It's the unspoken language of self-respect. If you carry yourself like your time matters, others will treat it like it does. If you move like you are worthy of opportunity, others will start offering them. If you believe you deserve kindness, support, fairness, your energy will push away what contradicts that belief and attract what aligns with it. But if your inner dialogue is filled with guilt, fear, and unworthiness, your energy begins to create a reality that reflects that, because people mirror back what you emit. This is why the inner work is not optional, it's not luxury, it's strategy, because you can't fake energy. You can fake a smile, you can fake confidence, but energy doesn't lie. If you're still carrying the weight of past rejection, if you're still walking around with unresolved hurt or unspoken shame, it will seep into your words, your decisions, your relationships. People can feel when you're trying to prove your worth instead of just standing in it. They can feel when you're chasing validation instead of moving from vision. So the question becomes, what is your energy teaching the world about you? Is it saying you're worthy of patience, or that you'll tolerate chaos? Is it teaching people to take you seriously, or that you don't even take yourself seriously yet? Because here's the truth most never hear. People treat you how you treat yourself. If you constantly second-guess your ideas, you train others to do the same. If you overextend without boundaries, you teach others to expect that from you. If you avoid difficult conversations, you silently tell others that your peace is negotiable. But when you begin to show up differently, when your energy becomes rooted in self-trust, not approval, you raise the standard. And the world either adjusts to meet you or removes itself. Either way, you win. This isn't about arrogance, it's about alignment. When you show up believing that everything is always working out for you, your energy shifts from scarcity to abundance, from fear to clarity, from pleasing others to honoring yourself. And when that shift happens, the world notices, because now you're not just surviving, you're leading. You're not just hoping, they're watching. And they'll respond not to who you say you are, but to the energy that proves it before you speak a single word. There's a lie many people unknowingly live by, the lie that you must feel ready before you act. That one day you'll wake up filled with certainty, courage, and clarity, that your nerves will disappear, the fog will lift, and the fear will vanish. Then and only then you will begin. But that day never comes, because readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. You don't move because you're ready. You become ready because you move. Faith is motion. It's not standing still, waiting for a sign. It's taking the next step while the path is still hidden. It's applying for the opportunity before you feel qualified. It's speaking your truth before you're sure how it will be received. It's launching the business before the plan is perfect. Because waiting for certainty is how dreams die in the disguise of logic. At some point, you have to stop rehearsing and start becoming. And that takes faith, not the passive kind, but the active kind. Faith in motion is gritty, it's raw, it's uncomfortable. It often looks like stumbling forward, not running smoothly. It looks like messy progress, like awkward first steps, like shaky confidence, but it is movement, and that alone separates you from the millions who are still trapped in analysis, still asking for permission, still researching themselves into paralysis. You don't get clarity by thinking, you get clarity by doing. When you move, something shifts. Even if it's a small step, your mind begins to reorganize itself. You're no longer stuck in theory, you're engaged in reality. Every action you take builds a new neurological pattern. Every decision to lean in instead of lean back sends a signal to your subconscious that you are safe to grow, that you are allowed to take up space, that it's okay not to have all the answers yet, as long as you have enough faith to move your feet. Fear loves stillness. It thrives in hesitation. It multiplies when you wait. The longer you delay action, the louder fear becomes. But fear cannot grow where motion lives. When you act, even while afraid, fear loses its grip. Because now you've proven it wrong. You've proven that the sky didn't fall when you raised your hand, that you didn't crumble when you took the leap, that your world didn't end when you dared to bet on yourself. That's the irony most people miss. You don't build confidence and then take the risk. You take the risk and then build confidence. You speak up once and realize your voice didn't shake as much as you thought. You show up and realize the room didn't swallow you whole. You apply, reach out, ask, share, and you realize that most of what you feared never actually happened, and even if it did, you didn't break. You learned, you got better, you kept going. Every breakthrough is on the other side of movement, not comfort, not certainty movement. Your dream doesn't need you to feel ready. It needs you to show up. It needs your courage, not your perfection. It needs you to take the next best step, not the final one. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just the next rung. And the truth is, most of your life's greatest blessings will arrive dressed as uncertainty. You won't see the full picture until you start painting it. You won't know how strong you are until you're stretched. You won't know how much is possible until you start acting like it already is. So move, even if you're afraid, especially if you're afraid, because fear is not the enemy, paralysis is. And the only way to beat paralysis is with motion. That's where faith lives, not in comfort, but in the willingness to rise up and walk towards something you believe in, even when the path is not lit yet. There's a subtle, often overlooked truth about success, fulfillment, and peace. The more you chase something from a place of emotional neediness, the more it runs from you. Not because the world is cruel, but because desperate energy repels. When you need something to complete you, validate you, save you, or make you feel worthy, you give your power away. You stop being the source and become the seeker. But when you detach from outcome, not in apathy, but in inner security, you become magnetic. You stop chasing and you start attracting. To expect everything and need nothing is not arrogance, it is alignment. It's the mindset of someone who shows up with full confidence in who they are, but without the emotional addiction to any specific result. You want the opportunity? Yes. You believe you're ready? Absolutely. But you don't need it to feel whole. You don't need it to finally believe in yourself. That shift in energy is everything, because when you release the need, you reclaim your freedom. You can now operate from vision instead of fear. You see, neediness is not about how much you desire something. It's about the meaning you've attached to getting it. When your identity depends on the outcome, every setback feels personal. Every no becomes a wound. Every delay feels like rejection. But when you are grounded in your own worth, when you've already accepted your value with or without the result, you can navigate life with calm authority. You can walk into rooms and take up space without worrying if everyone claps for you. You can put your work into the world without obsessing over likes, sales, or applause. You can have desires without becoming their hostage. This kind of detachment creates space for miracles. Because now you're not forcing, you're allowing. You're not obsessed with controlling every variable. You're trusting the timing, the process, and your own ability to adapt no matter what unfolds. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care from a place of strength, not scarcity. It means you know what you bring to the table and you trust that what's meant for you cannot be taken from you. It means you can walk away from anything that violates your peace or undervalues your presence, not because you don't want it, but because you don't need it that badly. The irony is that when you finally stop needing something to happen, it often starts happening, not because the world suddenly becomes more generous, but because you become more powerful. Detachment frees your creativity, it sharpens your focus, it protects your peace. You show up with clearer boundaries, stronger decisions, and better energy, and people feel that. The world mirrors back what you believe you deserve, and when you detach, you're saying, I am already enough, with or without this. Most people never get there because they think detachment means losing passion. But passion and detachment can coexist. You can be deeply passionate about your craft, your dream, your mission, and still not let the outcome own your identity. You can love fully and still walk away if your peace is compromised. You can give your best and still be okay if someone doesn't recognize it. That is real power. That is emotional maturity. That is inner freedom. The moment you stop needing approval, you start commanding respect. The moment you stop needing outcomes, you start creating momentum. You are no longer driven by the fear of loss. You are guided by the presence of purpose. You no longer show up asking, will this finally be the thing that makes me whole? You show up already whole, already certain, already enough. And in that energy, you become unstoppable. You don't just move through life, you move with life. If you wait for the evidence to believe in yourself, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life, because life doesn't hand over results and then ask you to believe. It demands that you believe first. And not just casually, not with one foot in and one foot out. Life demands that you live as if the results are already on their way. Not because you see it, but because you've decided to become it. That's the foundation of all personal transformation. Stepping into the identity long before the world recognizes it. You must live as if you are already the person you want to become. Not in pretense, but in conviction. If you want to be seen as a leader, show up with the character of one now. If you want to be respected, begin by respecting yourself in every conversation, every decision, every habit. If you want success, Start moving through your days with the posture, discipline, and clarity of someone who already has it. When you live as if you are no longer reacting to your environment, you are directing it. You are creating a frequency that pulls your reality into alignment. Most people get stuck in the waiting room of life. They wait for permission, for signs, for certainty. They say things like, once I get the job, then I'll act confident. Or once I lose the weight, then I'll love myself. Or once I'm successful, then I'll believe in my worth. But that's not how growth works. You don't get confidence and then take bold action. You take bold action and confidence follow. You don't get respect and then develop high standards. You have high standards and respect follows. Living as if means you don't wait to feel ready. You take the identity and wear it like it already belongs to you. Because it does. You wouldn't even have the vision if it didn't already live inside you. You're not chasing something foreign. You're stepping into something familiar. The truth is the gap between who you are and who you want to be is not time. It's belief. It's decision. It's showing up today like the future version of yourself already exists and letting your actions prove it. And when you do that, when your behavior aligns with your intention, momentum begins. People respond differently. Opportunities begin to unfold, not because magic happens, but because you changed and everything around you begins to catch up. Living as if also means shedding identities that no longer fit. The version of you that doubted yourself, that accepted less, that played small to make others comfortable, that version can't come with you. It was built in survival, not in vision. So you have to release it. You have to stop rehearsing past limitations. Stop repeating stories about what hasn't worked, who hurt you, or why you failed before. Because none of that matters to who you're becoming. You're not here to reinforce your past. You're here to create your future. And that creation begins with choice. Choosing to act like the person who already believes the best is unfolding. Choosing to wake up and treat your time, energy, and mind as sacred. Choosing to take care of yourself like someone who matters. Choosing to speak your truth even when your voice trembles. You do these things not because they're easy, but because they're aligned. And alignment is power. When your actions, your words, your thoughts, and your beliefs all point in the same direction, there is nothing more magnetic. You no longer need to chase life. You become the kind of person life chases. So stop waiting, stop stalling, stop telling yourself you'll start when it feels right. Nothing about transformation feels right in the beginning. It feels unfamiliar, it feels risky, but it is yours if you claim it. The world bends for those who live as if, who show up before they're crowned, who carry themselves like kings and queens even when no one's watching, who walk like the road is already laid, who move like everything is always working out for them, even when there's no sign in sight. Because that's not delusion, that's faith in motion. And faith in motion always leads to the life you once only imagined. So now you understand. Act as if everything always works out for you is not just a motivational mantra. It's a way of life. It's a mindset that refuses to be shaken by delay, rejection, or confusion. It's the choice to step into a higher frequency of being, not someday, not when the stars align, but now. Because the truth is, your life bends to the story you believe about yourself. If you believe that life happens to you, you'll always feel like a victim of chance. But if you believe life happens through you, that every setback is set up, every delay is divine redirection, and every challenge is a part of your preparation, then you'll rise. You'll rise with clarity, with conviction, with quiet, unshakable confidence. You will stop waiting for signs and start becoming one. You will stop hoping something out there will change and realize you are what needs to change. You are the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the tone, you set the temperature, and when your internal state shifts, so does your external world. It all begins with the decision to believe before you see, to act before you feel ready, to detach from needing the outcome and trust your worth regardless of what the world gives you. You don't need more time. You don't need more approval. You don't even need more opportunities. You just need to start acting like you already have everything you're praying for. Because the person who lives with expectation but no desperation, the one who walks with vision, moves in faith, and speaks with clarity, that person becomes unstoppable. Not because life gets easier, but because they get stronger. Because they stop doubting their own becoming. They stop shrinking to fit into old versions of themselves that no longer apply. So act like it's already happening. Speak like it's already unfolding. Move like the door is already open. Live like the future is already yours. Because the moment you do, you shift from wishing to becoming, from waiting to creating, from hoping to embodying. This is your time, not tomorrow, not someday, now. You've always had the power. Now it's time to walk in it. Let your actions prove what your heart already knows. Everything is always working out for you, and not by accident, but by design. And that design, it begins with who you choose to become today.